Welcome to an AI experiment. Today, we asked AI a simple question. Create a funny text prompt for an image of a man representing each of the 50 US states. This AI experiment explores AI creativity. The results showcase AI's imaginative take on regional humor and cultural quirks through visual concepts. Let's explore what AI imagines about men across America. Alabama, a man with a mullet, wearing a roll-tide t-shirt and grilling burgers on the back of his pickup truck. Alaska, a bearded man in a parka wrestling a giant salmon while a moose steals his fishing pole. Arizona, a man in cowboy boots and a bolo tie, holding a cactus like it's a prized possession while sweating buckets in the desert. Arkansas, a barefoot man wearing overalls, holding a banjo in one hand and a chicken under his arm. California, a man in board shorts, riding a skateboard with a latte in one hand and a selfie stick in the other. Colorado, a man wearing ski goggles and hiking boots, holding a trail map upside down while eating a granola bar. Connecticut, a man in preppy clothes holding a Yale sweater, sipping tea with an exaggeratedly posh expression. Delaware, a man holding a blue crab and a peach pie, wearing a colonial wig and a t-shirt saying "First State, Best State," while seagulls eye his crab. Florida, a man wearing flip-flops, a Hawaiian shirt, and sunglasses, holding a pet alligator on a leash at the beach. Georgia, a man dressed as a southern gentleman, holding a giant peach and fanning himself dramatically. Hawaii, a man in a grass skirt playing a ukulele while a wave knocks over his tiki torch. Idaho, a man dressed as a giant potato riding a tractor with fries in his hand, grinning ear to ear. Illinois, a man with deep dish pizza in one hand and a Chicago hot dog in the other, standing in the windy city with his tie blowing backward. Indiana, a man in racing gear holding a "Start Your Engines" sign at the Indy 500 track, surrounded by confused pigeons. Iowa, a man in plaid farm gear holding a massive ear of corn while milking a cow that looks unimpressed. Kansas, a man dressed like the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz, chasing a tumbleweed in the middle of a field. Kentucky, a man in a dapper suit and oversized derby hat, holding a mint julep and patting a horse on the nose. Louisiana, a man in Mardi Gras beads and a feathered mask, playing a trumpet while standing near a gumbo pot. Maine, a man in a fisherman's coat, holding a lobster and looking surprised as a seagull steals his sandwich. Maryland, a man in crab-patterned shorts, holding an Old Bay shaker and holding a large crab on a beach. Massachusetts, a man in a Red Sox jersey holding a Boston cream pie and yelling "Wicked awesome" at a passing car. Michigan, a man in a mitten-shaped hat, holding a fishing pole with one hand and a Detroit-style pizza in the other. Minnesota, a man ice fishing on a frozen lake, wearing a Vikings jersey, with a giant walleye flopping in his bucket. Mississippi, a man dressed like a riverboat captain, holding a paddle and looking confused as his boat drifts away. Missouri, a man in overalls and a St. Louis Arch t-shirt, grilling ribs while a dog runs off with his barbecue sauce. Montana, a man in cowboy boots and a hat, riding a bucking bison while holding a lasso in one hand and a coffee cup in the other. Nebraska, a man wearing corncob shoes and a football jersey, cheering wildly while standing next to a giant Cornhusker logo. Nevada, a man dressed as an Elvis impersonator, holding a stack of poker chips in one hand and a slot machine lever in the other. New Hampshire, a man in flannel holding a maple syrup jug, surrounded by piles of fall leaves and a bewildered moose. New Jersey, a man in a gold chain and tracksuit, holding a slice of pizza while yelling at a toll booth operator. New Mexico, a man in a sombrero and cowboy boots, holding a plate of green chilies, dancing in front of an adobe house. New York, a man in an "I Love New York" shirt, yelling for a cab while holding a bagel and dodging a pigeon attack. North Carolina, a man in a NASCAR jacket, sipping sweet tea on a porch swing with a plate of grits in his lap. North Dakota, a man bundled in a parka, ice fishing with a Canadian flag sticking out of his hat. Ohio, a man wearing a Buckeye necklace, holding a football and running with a stadium crowd cheering behind him. Oklahoma, a man in cowboy boots and a hat, chasing his hat as a tornado whirls in the background. Oregon, a man in a raincoat holding a cup of organic coffee, riding a unicycle through a forest of giant fir trees. Pennsylvania, a man in Amish attire holding a Philly cheesesteak in one hand and pointing to the Liberty Bell with the other. Rhode Island, a man dressed as a giant clam holding a lobster while posing by a smallest state, biggest flavor sign. South Carolina, a man in a seersucker suit sipping sweet tea under a palmetto tree while fanning himself with a straw hat. South Dakota, a man in a buffalo hat posing in front of Mount Rushmore while trying to hold still for a photo. Tennessee, a man in a rhinestone jacket strumming a guitar on the Grand Ole Opry stage with a big country grin. Texas, a man in a cowboy hat and boots holding a giant steak and yelling "Yeehaw" while riding a mechanical bull. Utah, a man in ski gear holding a snowboard in one hand and a selfie stick in the other, posing by Red Rock Cliffs. Vermont, a man in flannel and a beanie holding a maple syrup bottle and a stack of pancakes surrounded by snowy trees. Virginia, a man in colonial attire holding a quill pen in one hand and a mug of cider in the other, with a musket leaning nearby. Washington, a man holding a coffee cup in one hand and an umbrella in the other, standing by the Space Needle under gray skies. West Virginia, a man in mining gear holding a pickaxe with a jug of moonshine and a mountain banjo by his side. Wisconsin, a man wearing a cheesehead hat holding a bratwurst and a mug of beer while a cow stands behind him. Wyoming, a man in cowboy gear lassoing a bison near the Rocky Mountains while grinning confidently.